What's up, everyone? Welcome into DodgerHeads, presented by DodgerBlue.com, part of the Blue Wire Podcast Network. My name is Jeff Spiegel, joined today by Matthew Moreno with a little breaking news, a trade. And I have to be honest, Matt texted me about this trade, and with all due respect to Bryan Hudson, I was hoping for something slightly bigger than this. But this is a pretty interesting move that the Dodgers have made, Matt. So tell us about what happened today.
Yeah, so I mean, kind of along that same lines, Robert Murray was first to kind of report that the Dodgers were working on trading Bryan Hudson to the Brewers, and so I thought, oh, okay, so here comes Corbin Burns, right? Because that's who the Dodgers had been connected to when it comes to a Brewers trade. But no, in all seriousness, it ended up being Bryan Hudson, who of course was designated for assignment last week as the corresponding move to finalize the signing of Yoshinobu Yamamoto and to make room on the 40-man roster and all that. He was traded to the Brewers in exchange for Justin Chambers, who we're going to get into in this video. And interesting enough, was just taken in the 2023 draft.
Yeah.
And the Dodgers are also going to receive a player to be named later or cash considerations. And that, my guess, will be finalized maybe in a couple months, maybe even 4, 5, 6 months. There's some the deadline usually isn't publicized, but the teams know, like, hey, either the player needs to be agreed upon or we're going to get cash by such and such date.
Yeah, I'm wondering if it's tied to Bryan Hudson's tenure in Milwaukee and how many appearances he makes or success that he has potentially. But as you said, the return is Justin Chambers, who is a 20th round pick in last year's draft. And look, as I posted on Twitter, the Dodgers got back a lottery ticket, and that's the good news. The flip side to that is, like, we could all speculate on how good or valuable Chambers is as a prospect. Obviously, the Dodgers received him in exchange for a guy that everybody in the world knew was not going to be a Dodger in the next 10 days. That said, there are some interesting notes about Chambers, which is the slot amount that he ended up signing for was a really, really big number, over $500,000, $547,000. That would have been the fifth highest mark among any Dodger player that was drafted last year. So he basically got a bonus that was higher than the Dodgers' fifth round pick last year. He was straight out of high school. So I think those are the pieces that kind of make him intriguing. Our guy, future Dodgers, Justin Lorber, was tweeting. He was young for his class last year. He turned 18 a month after the draft. A big signing bonus, as he mentioned. He is recovering from Tommy John surgery in the spring, but sort of a best case scenario, it feels like, Matt, in exchange for a guy like Hudson, who, again, everybody in the world knew had to be moved in a trade for something. Otherwise, the Dodgers were going to lose him for nothing.
Yeah, definitely. When they DFA'd Hudson and put him on waivers, like, it was, I was going to be shocked if he cleared, and at that point, could have remained part of the organization, just off the 40-man roster, which I'm sure the Dodgers would have also taken if that was the outcome. But that didn't appear to be a likely scenario, considering he did make his MLB debut last year. And he had some struggles, obviously, but I mean, he pitched well with OKC. And so he's somebody who, a team like the Brewers and other clubs out there that are looking for bullpen depth, especially a left-handed relief pitcher, those are valuable. Yeah. And, from the Dodgers perspective, they had Alex Vesia, Caleb Ferguson, at the time, Victor Gonzalez as well, sort of ahead of Hudson. And so there just wasn't going to be, like you said, opportunities. And so, yeah, for the Dodgers to be able to trade him for somebody like Chambers, who, yes, he is still recovering from Tommy John surgery, and so he didn't make his professional debut yet. But like you said, he received a pretty significant signing bonus, and that typically is indicative of, I mean, there is some leverage at play. He was committed to go to Arizona State, and so sometimes teams have to overpay to get these high school kids to forego kind of their college experience. He could end up being something. And from the Dodgers' perspective, they don't necessarily need quote unquote help right now. And so somebody like Chambers, if he develops in 3, 4, 5 years, like, it fits, Andrew Friedman's vision that he is always sort of stressing and emphasizing is, the Dodgers are competing now, but also several years down the line.
Yeah, and the beauty of acquiring a guy who was drafted just last year is he doesn't need to be added to the 40-man roster for years to come. So it gives them roster flexibility in the meantime. I think, Matt, the other thing, and maybe the most important thing, is this just highlights why the Dodgers are so good. This move on the surface, again, when I heard it was Bryan Hudson then got traded, it was like, okay, but this is what makes the Dodgers great in a really significant way. Bryan Hudson was signed as a minor league free agent December about 2 years ago. Yeah. And here we are, fast forward, the Dodgers have him in the organization for a couple years, and then they trade him for again, a guy that the Brewers just paid $550,000 to sign as an 18-year-old. Like these are the types of moves that make the Dodgers special. That they find Hudson as a minor leaguer, they turn him into something. He contributes to some degree. I mean, the success wasn't really there, but clearly there was value. They kept him on the 40-man roster, and clearly there was value because teams wanted to trade for him. And then to flip that into a 20th round pick who got $550,000 and who's just 18 years old. These are the moves that don't make headlines and sort of the casual fan is going to skim right over. But I think to the diehards, Matt, these are the moves that just make me laugh because, it's Andrew Friedman Cooks in signing Ohtani and signing Yamamoto and trading for Glasnow. But like, I almost feel like, Matt, he probably gets just as much joy out of swinging trades like this.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, it's not completely comparable, but similar to, the Matt Beatty trade with the Padres. Yeah. Like Beatty, he came up in Hudson's opportunities were certainly much more limited than what Beatty had, but Beatty performed well. He was, a valued contributor for the team, and then kind of just a roster crunch and how the Dodgers were constructed at the time. They didn't have room for him. They ended up trading him for River Ryan. It's like, okay, he's a pitcher. Dodgers, yes, they love their pitching prospects, and now here we are. And River Ryan is a name that has been on the rise since he joined the Dodgers organization. And so, not to put those same expectations on Chambers because he's his own player, his own pitcher. But yes, Andrew Friedman, like you said, has a history and a track record of kind of succeeding with these types of trades that, like you said, certainly, especially this offseason, more than any others, is going to fly under the radar because of everything else the Dodgers have done and what they're still sort of connected to.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, there's a far greater chance that this move turns out to be nothing. And a guy like Chambers is somebody who plays in minor league ball for 3 or 4 years and disappears. I mean, that's just the likelihood of a 20th round pick who's 18 years old in professional baseball. But it's also the type of move that, a few years we could be laughing about like, oh my goodness, can you believe they traded Bryan Hudson for this guy and now he's a prospect of some worth? Or maybe they move Chambers in a future trade, that kind of thing. So again, the headline, Bryan Hudson, who was DFA'd to make room for Yamamoto on the 40-man roster, traded to the Milwaukee Brewers in exchange for Justin Chambers, a 2023 draft pick of the Brewers, again, as you pointed out, was committed to Arizona State. So that is Matthew Moreno. My name is Jeff Spiegel. As always, we appreciate you joining us. Check out DodgerBlue.com, full write-up on the trade, details, that kind of thing. And check out Dodger Blue 1958 on social media. And of course, subscribe, ring the notification bell here as well. Enjoy the rest of your day, folks. As always, go Dodgers.